Hello and welcome everyone to this Friday's Verizon-sponsored VZWBuzz recap. And today we talked a lot about managing your own online profile. Super important subject, all within the be safe and know how to manage your mobile life. And I'm delighted that today we have Jean Newman Glock joining us from Washington, D.C. How are you, Jean?
I'm fine, Monica. Thank you so much for asking me. I love being part of your lifestyle bloggers group.
Oh, it's so great to have you. I know that some people know you, and your Twitter handle, luckily, is Jean Newman Glock, so it's easy to know exactly who you are on Twitter. But tell us a little bit about your blog. What is it that you do?
My lifestyle is mobile. I am in travel, and I've been in travel for my whole career. I spent 17 years heading the Smithsonian's international travel program, and 2 years ago left to begin travel writing, blogging, and sharing what I love about travel.
Yes, and you're the go-to person for our almost 100 people strong group for all matters regarding travel and best places to go. So be sure to check Jean Newman Glock's blog. Now, your blog's address is also Jean Newman, right?
It is. It's on my website at www.jeannewmanglock.com, and the blog is called Simply Exceptional. And that's because I like to talk about what's exceptional.
Yes, indeed. And you do find incredible gems. Just following your journeys around the globe really has been quite enlightening. Sometimes I even feel like I'm there, part of it with you. You do such a great job with your images and with your, just, the nuggets that you share. It's never too much. It's always very tasteful. So I encourage everyone to follow Jean. If you don't get a chance to travel that much, she's a great person to follow, and just get a feeling for all these wonderful corners of the world that she gets to travel to and find incredible gems to learn about and to see.
Oh, thank you, Monica.
It's true.
And my foibles and some of my tech troubles are well documented as well, which we might mention today.
Yes, indeed. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Just before we do, we have this amazing Droid Turbo that is going to be our giveaway today. It comes in this beautiful box. The Droid Turbo has a 48-hour battery life, and it charges in 15 minutes. It has also a 21-megapixel camera. Have you had a chance to play with the Droid Turbo, Jean?
I have, and you'll see in a couple of my blog posts, I list which photos, in fact, one about some travels last year that I used the Droid Turbo for, and it is amazing. I've had professional photographers ask me, how did you get that photo? And I hold up my Droid.
Isn't that great?
It is wonderful to travel with.
Yeah, one of the things that I wanted to talk about was all of these tips that we discussed about being able to be safe when we were traveling. And I know that you had some great tips along the way in things that you have learned. So why don't you share some of those with us?
I will, and they are evolving, unfortunately or fortunately, as I continue to strategize how I'm going to present when I'm traveling. And in the world today, I am finding, particularly when I'm traveling alone, I'm not posting the moment that I'm there, because I do like to tag where I am. I do like to say where I am, but it's just not wise to say exactly where you're sitting, where you're eating. Not that I've ever been a target or could ever be a public figure. So I usually post a day or two later, or even months later, talking about where I've been and what I've seen. So I'm very, very careful about saying where I am at the moment. And I did just share one thing with you off camera that my daughter caught last week. And I was sharing some photos of Russia last week and creating a custom location on Instagram to say this was Peterhof in St. Petersburg. And I thought, oh, this is great. I will put the correct location. Well, in actuality, what I was doing was putting my home address, calling it Peterhof, so the whole world knew where I was that minute.
Oh.
So I thought I was savvy, but luckily my daughter was savvier.
That's good. I'm sorry if anybody's hearing the playback. I'm kind of hearing myself speak. It's never a pleasant sound.
I don't hear it.
So one of the things that we also wanted to talk about is managing your profile. You know, in a social setting, as we are all here and all of you watching, we have to manage our own brand. We have families, we have places we work, we have communities that we live in. And when we are sharing online, so it's important to think about all of the people that are around us that could be impacted by our social presence. So I wanted to get some tips from you. Jean. You have a beautiful brand, a very beautiful brand, and just some of the ideas that you would share with everyone on how you managed to accomplish this, and what are some of your key nuggets that you would give someone as they start out on the social platform trend.
Well, and mine has certainly evolved. If you look at a lot of my earlier postings, you'll see. But I think the most important thing is to decide what your brand is. And even if you're not a business, you have a brand, it's you, what you stand for. And be laser focused on that. It's not to the exclusion of posting my dogs once in a while or mentioning a child got married, but managing my brand is the face I want to show the world. And even though I may have a strong political opinion, and my last name is Glock, which is a very famous gun, so even if I had a strong opinion on gun control, that's not what I'm about. I'm about travel and sharing. And so often I find myself thinking, oh, my followers would love to hear this. And I think, no, they wouldn't. I'm about travel. I'm about sharing good experiences and being positive. While I don't promise positive reviews everywhere I go, I do want to be positive about the experience of traveling. So I have to edit myself every day.
Yeah, Jean, maybe you, if you have a headset, I think that might help the echo. Some folks are hearing. I'm not sure. I do see some comments. I'm sorry, Candy CLC. I know you can hear an echo. My apologies. I hope it goes away. So, I mean, I think that's something very important in terms of what you just said. If you think about what are you going to share. And if you're if you're employed by someone, you're always on the job. If you're on social, right? You're never not representing your company somehow, even if you're disclosing this is not an official tweet, etc. So be very careful when you're sharing any opinions, particularly if it's controversial, because one way or another you are representing your employer in some way. And so I think it's all of New World. It's something we talk to our children about, and I know that on the chat we talked a little bit about getting our kids thinking early about their brand and the things that college admissions officers and future employers are going to be reading about them. I know you have older kids as well. What is it that you would say now, Jean, to your younger kids about managing their online profiles?
Luckily, I think we're now reaching a stage that even the teenagers and younger kids realize if it's posted, it's there forever. The past 10, 15 years as it was evolving, I think so many kids thought, oh, it's Snapchat-like and it'll disappear. And I would just continue to warn, nothing disappears, nothing's deleted. And something that looked like fun with your party friends, think how it will appear. You may not have been drunk in the photo, and you can tell your mom and dad that, but if you look it, you look it. And you just need to keep thinking of the future and share things that you want to share like that in person, but not online.
Yeah, it's so true. It's far-reaching and it's permanent. And it's so important to know. And that's true for all of us. It's so interesting to think that the kids are going to pretty much emulate what we're doing, and so in that sense, you set the tone, and staying on theme, which is one of the things that you mentioned. You share about travel, and you share beautiful pictures, and the theme and your focus is consistent, and it's a great idea. So even if you have a multiple interest type blog or feed, and you're interested in travel and food, it's so important to stay within that if you want to build a brand so to speak, so that people come to you and to that feed for that kind of information.
Exactly. It's always a brand. And just a total side note, but when you're sharing pictures, whether you're traveling or at home and their children or people always ask. And what I do now even is send the photo to someone beforehand and say, do you mind if I post this? And in countries like the Middle East, you have to ask, or people will be very upset if you take their photo. And when I can't explain it's going to be posted online, I usually won't post a person's photo. Then even if it's a vendor in a market in Istanbul, it's just not fair. And I think it is something we all need to understand and be very respectful of.
Yeah, it's so important. At this point you just touched. Sometimes, I guess the average now, we take millions and millions of pictures every day from our camera phones, and we post them or share them, and sometimes because it's cute, but there's really some very serious repercussions, not just beyond it being disrespectful, as you point out, but also there's a lot of instances in which a child who was identified and they had restraining orders. There's so many instances in school settings, in markets, in open places, that really taking pictures of people, think twice before you do. And I really appreciate. I'm going to comment on Leilani Nelson, who is watching the show, saying that she's in charge of hiring, and yes, she checks Facebook pages and reads all the blogs of the people that she may hire, and obviously the Twitter feed. So definitely your employer or your future employer is going to be, looking at your online profile as one way to know who you are, and try to make that the best possible you can make it.
And your responses to people. That's what sometimes shows me what someone's real character is, and how you respond to someone, even if they're saying something a little negative, whether you ignore it or you respond kindly. I think your responses tell more about you than almost your post.
Yeah, it's so true. And be social and
Yes.
engaging.
Yes.
One of the things I don't want to forget to remind everyone, I know we touched a little bit on this, was safety just in general, as far as passwords. And we sign on to so many sites, we benefit from so many apps. What are some of your best practices, Jean, as far as passwords and sites that you access, perhaps?
I've learned by fire, and Monica knows of the instance, but I'll give some of my best tips first. A two-step verification on Gmail is the only way to go. You must have it. It's a pain, but do it. Because if you're hacked, it's going to be a problem. Changing my passwords, I never have the same password for any two accounts. One interesting thing that I'm learning too is I have iPassword that I love saving all of them on my phone, but I will never access that on a public Wi-Fi network, just because I'm not sure of the security. But the one instance, and I don't know if you want me to share it, is with my Android Samsung camera, which I adore. And I thought I was so careful with antivirus and with all my passwords and everything. And I was in China and Russia this summer. And this is a marvelous camera. I love it. And it automatically downloads on Wi-Fi to my Google Plus private account. So it's a dream. You plug it in at night, your photos are there in the morning. Well, it is an Android, and it's everything but a phone. And the one thing I didn't think of, and I'm just naive, is that it needed virus protection. And sure enough, either in Russia or China, probably both, it got hacked on a public Wi-Fi network, and Monica and all my friends and everyone are still getting spam emails because they stole my address book. So in doing that, changing my password doesn't help. They have all my names. So any device you have that has Wi-Fi capability, be careful where you use it, and know that it needs antivirus. I learned the hard way.
It's a very, very important point. We almost got to the point where I think most people realized their PCs needed antivirus software, up to date every day. But I think now we're at the point where people really need to understand that our Android devices can also be hacked and acquire malware. And the way you know that is oftentimes your phone's going to just misbehave. Either the battery won't charge, or the photos will be deleted without you noticing. It'll start acting up in ways that is not supposed to, and that's one telltale sign that you may have malware on your mobile device. And really good idea to keep it safe. I know in the case of Verizon, you can also sign up for Total Mobile Protection, and as part of that process, you get McAfee anti-malware software.
What I use. Yeah,
and so you use that? Is that
I use it through Verizon, and it's fabulous. Actually, call out to Verizon, and not because it's your group, but their global services are my best friends. I think there's a person on staff just for me. And when it got hacked and I was talking to them about something else from Moscow, they mentioned the McAfee in the program, and they said, you don't have that on this device, and they helped walk me through, get it fixed while I was in Moscow, which was over and above the Call of Duty.
Oh, that is great. I have heard Tom Peters, who wrote In Search of Excellence, and I follow his Twitter feed, said almost the exact same thing you did about Verizon, global services, and I think he was in Australia, and he said they were on the phone with him for like an hour and a half, helping him with whatever his issue was. So it's good to know that when you're traveling, you can still reach out to Verizon customer service and get some good advice and get some help.
They'll send you a text the minute you land in any new country, and you'll have the number there in your messages.
Oh, that's great. That's actually a great idea. And are you now traveling with your in your own hotspot, or you're still trying to in some cases use the local Wi-Fi's, the hotel Wi-Fi's?
Rarely will I use a hotel Wi-Fi in certain countries, and I won't name them anymore. But no, actually what I use is Verizon data. I get their global data plan, and I just feel much more secure on all my social media accounts. So I buy the data plans where they have it, and that's what I use. And then save the Wi-Fi for when I get home, or I know I'm on somebody's private secure account.
Yeah, no, that's really, really good advice. I wanted to do a shout out to Jean Parks, aka Geek Babe, who was quickly sending me a lot of great advice for virus protection, mobile virus protection. And one of the ones that she recommends for all of you asking is Malwarebytes. Malwarebytes has a free solution as well as a paid solution, so check that out, as well as McAfee and many, many other choices. And if you also don't want to forget to protect your children, if you are handing out mobile devices to them as well, be sure to use Verizon's solution, because it's also family-based. Is a great way to filter content and to keep them safe as they learn to manage their own online profiles, as well as protect them from the kind of malware that you were a victim of when you were traveling, and all those viruses.
No, thank you, Jean. We always need Jean telling us what we do, and she helps tremendously.
And Robin, thank you so much, Robin, for all your tips during the chat today. As always, amazing and timely. And I want to thank Jean. Thank you so much for joining us today on this chat. Where are your next travels? Because I like to live vicariously through you. So before we give away this phone, I want to hear where you're going to next.
I have some very exciting travels coming up. I'll be cruising from Singapore to Dubai, following the ancient spice routes and writing about the history of spices and food in the area. And then I'm very, very excited. I'll be going to the new Viking ship christening in Bergen, Norway in May, and the first ocean-going ship, and it'll be on Norway's National Day, so it'll be a celebration in history again. And I'll be traveling with author Alison Weir in England, following the Tudors, which I do every year. So,
oh my goodness, that's fantastic.
Watch Wolf Hall when it comes on in April, and I'll be tweeting and sharing about Henry VIII and his wives.
Oh my goodness, how fantastic. Well, now you all can follow Jean on her amazing travels.
Thank you.
And kind of feel like you're part of the part of the experience, which is very exciting.
Thanks for having me, Monica. Nice to sort of meet everyone.
Yeah, now thank you so much. And if you have any questions, and any questions that we may not have gotten to you on the chat, feel free to post them or keep them there. We're going to go back through the feed and answer most of them. I hope all of them. Otherwise, you can also join us on Facebook /TheOnlineMom, where you can also post your questions, any tech questions or any travel safety that you may want to ask us as well for today's chat, that would be great. And I'm going to be giving away this incredible droid. But before we do, I want to tell you about our next chat, which is next week. And we're going to be talking about mobile entertainment. This is so fun. Music, streaming services, all the apps that you can use, games. And obviously, as you know, I'm the online mom, so I'll also be talking about how to protect your children as they enjoy mobile entertainment as well. Thank you so much. Again, I am going to just search here. I don't have the winner, but I'm going to find it in 2 minutes. Let me just see. Okay. And also, one of the things that I wanted to do is, if you wouldn't mind, one of the things that's super useful to us on the chats is if you can please tell us what you would like us to talk about. What are some of the things that you need to know that we haven't touched on the chats, perhaps? It's really, really important that we hear from you in terms of the, you know, what do you want to know? What are some of the themes that keep you up at night? How do you, you know, need to take care of your own mobile life in ways that we can help you here? So if you can please share some of the themes that you would like, that would be great. And thank you everyone for joining. Our winner today is Shadow62310, Amber Cheras. Thank you so much for joining us today. Congratulations, and we will be sending you the Droid Turbo. Thank you for joining us, Amber, and everyone else, and we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.